23 years have gone by since the events of Crysis 2. The nanosuit-clad hero Prophet has been stuck in a cryogenic state ever since. His old partner Psycho shows up to free him from cold storage. He learns that the world has changed while he was gone, and that New York is now a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Prophet learns that Psycho is a part of a team of rebels hell-bent on taking down Cell Industries. Prophet is more of an inorganic entity than a human. He is torn between his loyalty to his friends and the visions rummaging around in his head. His memories are now flashes of data, and the only thing he knows how to do is destroy the Seth. The story performs its task at giving Prophet a target to destroy, but it fails at making the journey feel entertaining. The often lackluster voice acting and one-dimensional script bring forth only boredom.
We just survived the building collapse. I need a breather.
Psycho turns out to be the most fleshed out character, and everyone else is an obvious trope. The story feels almost like an afterthought, with every character barking orders for hours before you see them again. It's dull and weighs down the campaign significantly as a result. Crytek is known for designing technical marvels, and Crysis 3 is a welcome part of their artistry. The broken down city of New York functions as the highest point of the title. Prophet will traverse heavily detailed structures surrounded by lush foliage and bountiful amounts of water. A similar amount of detail is placed on the character models, who boast extensive emotive responses. The sound of enemies and weapons are as one would expect, but the music in comparison to Crysis 2 is a bit of a letdown. Sound effects do suffer the occasional distortion in single player and in multiplayer. Funny enough, this was also a problem in Crysis 2 and hasn't been fixed here. On the gameplay front, very little has improved. A new system has been implemented for updating the nanosuit, but it only exists to give you bonuses to damage, armor, stealth, and speed. In fact, these are nearly the same upgrades you received in Crysis 2. The linear but open playground of Crysis 3 allows players to take enemies down as they wish. Do you feel like sneaking through an area without killing a single enemy? You can do it. Do you want to turn into the Terminator and stand in a hail of bullets? Go for it. It's all in your hands on how you wish to take out the bad guys. The further into the campaign you are, the bigger and badder each area becomes. Players can activate the visor on the nanosuit to target enemies. It is also useful for hacking into vehicles and turrets from afar. A minigame will activate during hacking that pits the player's memory and reflexes against a series of nodes. It starts as fun and quickly devolves into a tiresome event in later levels. Once a hack begins, it is impossible to exit the minigame, and Prophet will still be riddled with bullets during this time. It is extremely frustrating, and the only option is to try to finish a hack before Prophet dies. My main issue with the game is that it does not try to change much. Even the introduction of the bow was not as impactful as one would expect. The bow can be used from cloak without an energy penalty, and it can take down weak enemies with a single blow. It's a fun addition, but it doesn't resonate like the bow from Far Cry 3. For something that was marketed as the next big thing, its uses are minor at best. It has an extremely limited ammo capacity, so it won't be that go-to weapon you want it to be. Unless of course you have the diligence to walk around and pick up every arrow you fire. The rest of the title remains too similar to previous iterations. I had the impression that this superhuman suit could do pretty much anything. However, it can still barely jump as high as a basketball player or run faster than a track star. I may be asking for too much, but I wanted almost nothing to be out of my reach if it was plausible. And maybe, just maybe, show that this suit is more maneuverable and powerful than the Seth are. This is the suit that causes all of the aliens trouble, but it feels like a slightly less powerful Captain America. This title does little to advance itself and often leaves a bitter taste in your mouth due to it. The bosses are the worst example of this procedure. They extend battles by taking an absorbent amount of punishment that causes Prophet to scurry around looking for ammo. As beautiful as these technological marvels look, the fights against them are as boring as can be. I found myself screaming out in anguish for these drawn out fights to end. Jumping online with others should only be described as a larger scale version of Call of Duty. Players will earn experience points from kills to rank up, which is used to receive new weapons and modifications for the nanosuit. Players can participate in modes familiar to the genre like Team Deathmatch and Capture the Relay, while a mode like Hunter treads familiar ground with its own nuances. Hunter plays exactly as it sounds. A few players become Cell soldiers and have to survive against the predatory nanosuits. As the Cell soldiers dwindle in numbers, the numbers of the Hunters grow. The goal is to stay alive as Cell or finish them off as Hunters before the time runs out. It's a fun mode, but I don't see why the players that are killed as Cell should become Hunters. It would make more sense to have 3 powerful Hunters that are hard to kill. Facing off against other opponents is fast and frantic. Players will leap about with acrobatic movements, run at full tilt away from gunfire, and pop out of the shadows to let off a few rounds. This entertaining and unbalanced romp is well worth a few wasted hours a day. Competition can become overwhelming quickly in some of the capture modes at lower ranks, but the standard modes are loads of fun for newbies and the elite. There is even a mode that removes the nanosuit named Cell vs. Rebels that is obviously aimed at the Call of Duty crowd. Crysis 3's storyline borders on boring, and the gameplay feels average at best. The direction was obviously focused on the multiplayer portion of the title, which is definitely the much better of the two modes. If you are looking for an epic finish to Prophet's story, you may feel a mite disappointed. Crysis 3 receives a C from Geek Citadel. Play this title if you want a fun multiplayer experience, or you absolutely positively need to finish the series. For more reviews and opinion pieces, visit geekcitadel.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment on the webpage. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.